Life can be chaotic, overwhelming, and exhausting. So what can you do to diminish those effects? Try leaning into multidimensional self-care. You may be asking, what in the world is multidimensional self-care? We're about to find out. Welcome to the Wellness Champion Podcast, sponsored by Healthy Transformation Nation. We believe that your health and wellness is determined by your own self-care more than anything else. Join us for each episode when we discover and uncover the keys to self-care in today's complex culture. We enjoy helping others discover the best ways to be well. We'll be visiting the basics for self-care and ongoing wellness that enables you to not only survive, but to thrive. Wellness Champion Podcast.
Self-care can seem like a chore you need to get to, but it's actually a practice you get to choose each day as a way of strengthening your connection with yourself and fostering your well-being. Multidimensional self-care involves all aspects of mind, body, and consciousness. It's spiritual, physical, emotional, mental. Self-care helps you manage your energy and nourish all areas of your health. Whether you practice meditation, do something creative, or work with a coach, self-care is all about finding healthy practices that resonate with you and help you feel a more balanced state of being that serves your overall health and wellness. It's truly bio-individual, meaning that there's no right or wrong way, and different strategies will appeal to different people.
You see, multidimensional self-care, it sounds like, wow, what is that, right? But the concept is pretty simple.
It is, Bill. I love my life. It's awesome. It's wonderful. But it wasn't always like that. And part of that was because I didn't have really strong routines in my world. Now, I came up with a bedtime routine, which we've talked about in previous podcasts. And that has really served me well because I was very focused on getting a good night's sleep and waking up in the morning refreshed and ready to go. But I felt that I was missing something, and that was especially in the morning. And so I needed to come up something for myself. I came up with a morning routine. And that started off with literally lying in my bed and just being in a meditative state and doing some meditation. But then the part that really made the difference is I started leaning into gratitude, waking up every morning and realizing what I had in my life and how grateful I was, from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes, to the people that are around in my life. Those were the things that I started to really focus on. And then I also knew that, so that was kind of like the spiritual aspect of it, and really also the mental part of it, because it prepares my mind to be in a state of gratitude first thing in the morning. So that was part of it. But then I really knew that I needed to move my body. So I started bringing yoga in. So putting the intentional movement part of yoga, that really helped me not only connect physically, but it also did it mentally and emotionally and on a spiritual plane as well, because yoga really has a lot to do with all of those concepts. So I really amped up my wellness by incorporating this beautiful morning routine. And then some mornings, not every morning, but some mornings I really feel the need to journal. Sometimes I'll have a dream that really resonates with me that I want to kind of take in some information. I'll journal on that. Or I may have had a breakthrough during yoga or meditation, and I'll journal on that. And that to me really made a difference in my personal wellness and growth. And I feel much more connected to myself. And what works for me may not work for everyone else, like we talked about previously. So it's really kind of figuring out the things that work for you personally. And I know that we've got some ideas, so we'll just dive right into that.
So I'm glad that you brought up yoga, because yoga is a great practice that does incorporate pretty much all of those things, all those multi-dimensions.
Yes, it does.
And, do you have a special place that you go to do yoga?
Yes.
Yeah,
I do. It's in our living room.
Yeah. We go in the living room and we set up the yoga mats, and there you go. So that's one thing you want to do, is create a space for self-care. Self-care takes, time and commitment to cultivate. And so having that space is so very important. And you also want to be able to do that, whether it's yoga or whether it's anything else, like the bedtime routine,
Right.
or make your spaces. Be aware of the space that's surrounding you, and make your spaces conducive to your self-care practice.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I really did. When I first started doing yoga, it was just kind of throwing the mat out and, just doing it. And I wasn't using the TV. I was actually using my iPad at the time. And as I've grown in the practice, I'm more mindful about putting the yoga mat out. I use the TV now, which is really nice because it's a nice big screen. I'm able to see so much better. And I also like I bought a nice meditation yoga bolster so I can sit on it.
Yeah.
And that really helps me more when I'm in a meditative place as well, because I do some meditation downstairs. So I've made that space so much better. And I bought some yoga blocks too. That was another part of the practice that I wanted to bring something in to help me make my practice even better. So my practice started off with just rolling the mat out and going, but now it's more mindful. And I've added a couple of extra things to really make it my own self-care practice.
Yeah.
In my own space. And I love to do that. Sometimes I'll even use some sage to clear out the energy, or I'll have a little Tibetan bowl and I'll just use the bowl and clear out the energy with that. And that kind of brings in the spiritual aspect of it as well.
Yeah. And that brings up another point that we want to make to everyone, is that what nourishes one person may not nourish someone else.
Right.
So, whether you're going for a walk or doing yoga or, quietly meditating, consider your personality, consider what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel uncomfortable. And, for example, if you enjoy solitude, then go for a walk.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
I love having time alone, and I love walking in nature. I love being in the woods, the forest, anything like that, rail trails, anything like that, because it really helps me to connect energetically.
Yeah.
And the thing too is like even like the yoga practice, I didn't do yoga. I used to actually do walking a lot. I walked a lot, and I didn't do yoga. And for some reason, something moved inside, and I started doing it. So that wasn't something I did, but then I ended up changing and wanting to explore it.
So now that's great for you, and me too. I feel the same way. I do like my solitude sometimes. We each do.
Yes.
But for some people, and that makes us as a couple work really well.
Yeah,
because
it does.
when we go off by ourselves, we're each honoring that for ourselves. Yes. But one thing that works for us or for you or for me may not work for someone else. And so if you're an extrovert, if you like being around people, if you just really, really absorb that energy from others, then try calling a friend to join you. Do something online with your friends, or join a book club or something. Anyway, get out there and do something for yourself. Create a space for yourself.
A gym.
'Cause
that's a community a lot of times.
Sure. Yeah.
They do some gyms offer classes, so you're able to really connect with others in that space too.
Yeah.
I love
Dancing.
that. Yeah, dancing.
Dancing's a good one. You can do like line dancing classes and things like
Ballroom.
that. Ballroom dancing, where you're with others and you're able to enjoy that group experience. But you're also in doing that, you've created that space for yourself as well.
Right.
Also, be open to adapting too. If what supports you today may not support you tomorrow. So what you've been doing, what you did years ago may not be today.
Exactly.
So, be open to trying new things or changing it up. That's something that some people get into a routine.
Yes.
And over time, that routine may not serve you like it once did. And so just always be keeping in mind that, you want to be able to level up or maybe change it up or whatever, just be open to adapting.
Yeah. I mean, definitely explore your horizons, right? There's so many options out there. And that's why we're giving different examples, because where I used to work out at the gym, lift weights and do all that real hardcore work, I no longer do that. I do lighter weights and I do yoga and walking. And so it's evolved and changed because as a person, I changed a lot over the last 3 years. So I have adapted more to what my body is really desiring and wanting in my movement. So that is the adaptation piece. It's perfect to bring this forward for all of us to take stock in that, because we do change as individuals. And like we talked about in the very beginning, this is something that you're doing for yourself. It's not this routine like I have to do it. It's you get to do it. So you get to participate in your own evolution and adaptation of these practices.
Yeah, and probably, when you're creating this space, when you're honoring your space and embarking on whatever fun activity it's going to be or quiet meditation or whatever, just stay connected with the reason why you're doing it. Connect with your why.
Exactly. And that's the whole point. It's like, am I doing because I have to, or am I doing because I truly desire and I want to? I want to level up, or I want to just feel better. When you're in movement and you're mindful about that and you're connecting to yourself and you're in a space that you've created for you to truly be, that is amazing because you are embodying these changes. You're not just saying I'm going to do them. They're not written on a piece of paper. You're actually embodying them. You're doing it. And the adaptation to change, connecting to the why, that is a powerful, powerful thing. And that's something that I was missing. And then I started before that, like I said, I was just throwing the yoga mat out, right? Then I connected to, why am I really doing this? Because I want to connect to energy. I want to go inward. I want to also feel better and be able to move better. And because I was more mindful of that and I was connected to that why, my core is stronger. I'm able to do things I couldn't even do in my 20s and 30s.
Absolutely,
because I've really connected to that why.
Yeah.
And I've made it my own.
we keep talking about the yoga example because it's a great example.
It is.
But this is true for anything that you do for self-care, for your practice. If you're quietly meditating at night in the evening before bedtime, then just each time you approach that, simply connect with that why.
Yeah, that intention.
Internalize the purpose of what you're doing.
Yep.
And it takes you so much further when you're connected with that.
Yeah, the intention piece of it, because like you were saying, it really is important when you are doing, I never really thought about this before. Like when I would just do so, I would just do it. But the intention, like, why am I doing it? My intention behind it, putting forth real meaning into what I'm doing. I love that. And
so now, You've established your practice. You have your why, and you're connected with your why. And we've been talking about the different ways that you will have these the different aspects, I should say. The mind, the body, the consciousness, spiritual, physical, emotional, mental. Right. We've been talking about the setting that you have and the why, connecting with the why. Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about the physical part, the physical self-care.
Yes.
Because it's so very important. Because all of these work together.
Absolutely.
Mind, body, consciousness work together. So the physical part of that. Well, one thing I can think of right off the bat is drinking water throughout the day.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What else?
Well, let's see. I personally love doing this, and I haven't done it in a bit because of reasons, but getting a massage. Oh my gosh. Getting a massage has been such a gift that I have given to myself. But I also like to do self-massage because I find that incorporating some Qigong practices, when I'm doing that, I'm actually lighting my body up. I'm moving the energy through my body. And I found that really makes it, like, I can literally feel my cells igniting.
Do you use the foam roller? I use the foam roller. I don't know if you do.
I haven't used the foam roller, but I use my hand.
Okay, yeah,
really
you do.
I do the job. Yeah, I do that practice.
Let's see, what else? How about getting outside and soaking up some sun?
Well, that's one of my favorites because I love grounding. I love going out and getting my feet in the ground and just soaking up the vitamin D. Yeah. And that really gives me so much energy, and it really lifts my spirits up too. It really elevates. And even though it's physical, it does give that energy, and it really elevates the mood.
I know
the emotional part.
You and I both like to do earthing, where we walk barefoot on the grass, and that really gives the opportunity for the earth's energy to be absorbed up through your body. It's fantastic. I love it. I recommend it to everyone.
The other one that I really look forward to is taking a bath.
Yeah.
Now, I don't do that very often. Our bath is a little...
Bathtub's kind of short. We need to get a bigger bathtub.
I know. I want one of those jacuzzi ones, so that way I can get in there.
We've got like a 5-foot bathtub,
right.
and a nice 6-footer or so would be terrific.
Yeah, it's more for a small child that can really enjoy this. But taking a bath with Epsom salts, and I mean, personally, for me, I love to do essential oils, and candles are wonderful as well. Even a diffuser, you can diffuse oils. That really is nice. So if you're like someone like us, you can't take a bath, you can definitely take a beautiful shower. And you can set an intention of that water, it coming down in you is just washing away the day. It's washing away all the troubles, and they're just going down the drain, and you can release that. And I have actually put essential oils on the floor of the bathtub, so that way I'm inhaling those essential oils, they're coming up.
And just a cautionary note here, it can make it slippery.
Well, yeah, I only do a drop or so because they're very strong, so you don't need a whole lot. But just getting that in and just drinking that in is really beautiful, relaxing, and it some sense actually trigger memories and feelings. So if you are looking for ones that remind you of like relaxing, taking maybe the earthy tones, those scents, those are the ones that I like the most. Put them on the floor of the bathtub, and see when you're in the shower, and let it come up, and just breathe it in and see how that works for you. It's another option.
So we've covered the physical. What about the emotional self-care? That's also very important.
I agree. And that's something that some of the physical stuff actually connected with the emotional as well. But sometimes it's beyond that, and we need to connect with others. And we do that for support, or even managing stress at times. Sometimes people will call a friend or a family member or their coach, and just to because they're having a moment. We all have moments. They're dealing with something that could be a really big thing happening in their world. So having that support and having friends or family or a coach to talk to can make all the difference in the world. Just venting and getting it out.
Yeah. Another way to vent is to journal.
Absolutely.
If you're not going to vent with someone in person, face to face, then vent with yourself in a journal. And I think a key to that, and you'd probably agree with me, right, is to do it without any judgment on yourself, without reservation, without judgment, right?
Right, because when you want to journal feelings because you're feeling a certain way, you're upset or whatever it is, it really is a time for you to just be honest with yourself. There's no judgment here. It is a safe place for you to write down your feelings, just getting it out, and then rereading it, right? Reading what you've written, maybe not right away, just leave it, come back to it and read, and you gain a fresh perspective. And getting it out, sometimes even that you get a different perspective on your feelings. So it is a great way to manage your feelings.
Slow down and pretend you have all the time in the world. And then notice how you respond differently to yourself. Situations are different. And others will maybe pick up on the slower pace, but you definitely will.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of pretend like I have nothing else to do, that is very powerful. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you have that mentality of like, I'm done with the day, then you can move into rest and relaxation and taking care of your needs, because all day long, a lot of us are taking care of other people's needs. We're taking care of the business needs. We're taking care of the children's needs. We're taking care of our spouse's needs. We're taking care of employers' needs, whatever it is, or a friend's need. And just pretend like you have nothing else to do. I know it can seem like that's impossible, but it is possible. And because I've done that, and it releases such a relaxation over the body, because I deserve it too. I deserve the attention as much as everybody else does. I deserve to give that attention to myself. Yeah. And that's the beautiful part about self-care.
Yeah. How about another one? There's another one. Another idea for doing something which nourishes your mind, nourishes your emotions, is to do something that nourishes your inner child.
Oh, yeah. That's the fun one.
You know?
Well, that's why I love hanging out with my granddaughter, because we get to hang out with her and have so much fun and just play. We get to play because she wants to play. Yesterday I was coloring in a coloring book with her.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't colored in I don't know how long.
Yep.
So doing things like that, that is part of your inner child.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I don't have to have her around to do it, but that's the kind of activity I like to share with her, because for one, it's bringing beautiful memories, but also I get to play and have some fun with her. So it's a lot of fun. But I do like to do things on my own as well. And for me, I like to, it's kind of funny, but I like to skip. I do like to skip. I like skipping. It's fun because sometimes when I'll go for walks, I'll skip. And I also love to sing. Singing is just so much fun for me because I've been doing it since I was a little kid, and I love to sing. And but especially when I sing the older songs from when I was growing up, that kind of
interesting side note. I happened to find out recently that there's actually skipping is actually a sport.
Really?
With competitive sport, yes, competitive skipping.
Wow!
And so you could actually join a league, and you could skip in a competition too. So that goes back to that physical.
Yeah, it does.
You know, so and skipping is also sort of like it's kind of like a child.
It is.
You know, so you can join the league. Skip, and so you're getting that physical self-care because of the exercise in your body and moving your body, and then you also have that childlike kind of feeling while you're doing it too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I just found that out. What about expressing how you feel out loud without judgment?
You know, sometimes I know for myself that I can be judgy on myself. That was something I've really worked hard on. And I'm learning more and more that the more I express how I'm truly feeling, I'm actually being who I really am. And I've learned to express myself where I'm a lot more clear and concise instead of being over the top, out of control. But I can be clear and concise about my feelings, but be very honest about it and not attacking anybody, including me. And that's a big thing, to be able to express out loud how I'm feeling and communicating and getting it across without that judgment on myself, and also with others too. And because how someone might reply to that, it's hey, I just want to hear it. I want to take it in.
There's something that you and I have done as a couple for years. I mean, this is one of the first things that we ever did together as a couple, but it served us both individually for our emotional well-being. And that is practicing being in the moment, being present. Presence. Remember that? We used to practice way back.
Yes.
Together. That was one of the first things we ever did together in terms of a self-care practice that we cooperated on.
We did.
Was we practiced being present. And so that's a great one, is practicing presence.
And it's really a gift when you're present with somebody, you're connected to that person. Yeah. There's that individual.
Yeah, if you're doing it with someone, it's great.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And being present with yourself too, that is very powerful because you kind of see things in a different way. You're experiencing things in a different way. Like for example, when I go driving, before I used to just be looking at the road and not that you shouldn't look at the road, of course you want to look at the road, but I wasn't taking in what was around me and my surroundings. Yeah. And now when I'm out and about, especially if I'm not driving, my goal is looking around and taking it in. So yesterday when I was with our granddaughter in the car, I'm like, look at the beautiful blue sky and the perfect puffy clouds so we get to enjoy them. And she said, it's such a beautiful day outside. And just that's being present and enjoying what you have around you, who you even have around you.
Yeah. I mean, I've done that too. When was the last time that you sat outdoors on a nice day, or even not such a nice day? It doesn't really matter, but sit somewhere and just become aware of like you can even close your eyes and just become aware of everything, every sound that you hear.
Yes.
Or if your eyes are open and you want to look around, just look around at everything that's just within your vision, within what you can see, within your sight line, and just simply focus on that as this is your world right now. You are present in this moment, and take it in. And when you really dive into that, it's a very, very calming, very centering, and very relaxing practice.
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing the sounds. It's amazing what you can hear. And because especially when I close my eyes, I really can hear every little sound, even the little ones that I don't normally would pay attention to. So it's great. It's a great practice.
What's funny? We could do a podcast on every one of these little things that we're saying. we could do a whole separate podcast on each one of those. Maybe one day we will. How about, there's another one that we had talked about, and that was write and mail a letter to a loved one.
Oh, I just did that recently. I did. I sent a letter to my son. I felt like it's great to talk on the phone, but someone receiving something in the mail, it's very personal, and I hand wrote it too. So it was a little card, and I hand wrote it, just saying how much I love him, that I miss him, and how you doing, just kind of catching up. And it gave him an opportunity to receive something, because it's, for one, when you're writing it out specifically, you're giving your time, there's effort, and there's love and energy behind that.
And there's something to be said for that tangible, written on paper. So for both parties involved, for in this case, your son received the letter. So yes, he's receiving something tangible from you that's real. He can read the letters you wrote, and he knows that you wrote the letters. It's in your handwriting.
Yes.
And then from you, from your perspective, you are there's that tactile experience of writing it that registers with your brain while you're doing it. That really is it's very soothing, and for me it's a therapy.
It's an energy that I'm really putting into this letter that my son is receiving. And that's energy of love, care, and kindness.
It's that same type of energy that goes into journaling too.
Yes.
Going from your brain through your body to your hands to your fingertips to the paper. There's that whole process involved that's just very therapeutic.
Because you're creating.
Absolutely.
You're actually creating this. It's amazing.
Let yourself cry, scream, laugh, growl. Depending on what needs to be expressed, just do it.
Yeah, that's something that crying has actually been one of the more challenging ones for me, because I always looked at crying as a weakness. When I was growing up, I looked at, if you're crying,
that may have been a narrative that you were taught.
Absolutely, 100%.
Many of us are taught that narrative.
Absolutely. And what I found is I recently started allowing myself to be comfortable in the uncomfortability of that crying, because that's how it is for me. But it's slowly becoming a thing where it's actually a release of emotions. So when I'm suppressing that, I'm actually holding those emotions in, and it builds up in your body like a toxic waste. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all bad emotion. It's just the emotion itself. If not releasing it and getting it out, it really does something to your system. It does something to your overall being, and being able to express that is freeing. It's such a liberation of my being. I'm allowing myself to feel in the moment those emotions and not being judgmental of them, because when you're screaming, crying, growling, any of that stuff, that's letting all of it out, and without judgment, because I'm just going to release.
As a leader, it's always important to lead with compassion. And when you're looking at and examining your self-care practices, you're the leader. You're leading yourself. So remember to lead with compassion.
Yes.
Self-care practices can help you navigate the ups and downs of life and make the best of your current situation, but do that with compassion.
Absolutely. So join us at htnforyou.com, where you'll find like-minded individuals like yourself. We also offer the bedtime routine that we mentioned in this podcast. So go on over there and get your bedtime routine and start your powerful evening self-care practice.